In this video we will take a look at how computers play chess. So I prepared a match, and with white pieces we have here Chessmaster 10th edition, and his opponent is Fritz 9, who plays black. It's out of the question that Fritz is a stronger engine in general than Chessmaster, but I wanted to make an experiment and compare them in similar settings. So I reduced their power, and they will play against each other on the depth 10. So I just reduced the deep analysis just to the depth of 10, and also there is no opening books, no endgame databases, and hash table is 16 megabytes. Okay, so let's take a look at this game. Chessmaster starts with e4, Fritz answers e5, and now we have this move calculated as Chessmaster as the best in this position. So also in the opening book it is a move called Vienna game. So Fritz thinks this is the best answer, and now this move which transposes to Petrov defense. So this kind of position can be found in Petrov defense 3 knights variation, and yes, Fritz plays bishop here, which isn't in any opening books theory move, but it's invention of Fritz 9, so attacking this knight. And white wins a pawn, so we can think that Chessmaster is better because he just won a pawn. It's very far from truth, because the position will show us in a few moves that it's actually equal. Now Fritz castles, and Chessmaster moves his knight here to attack this bishop, and also increasing center control. And here Fritz grabs the knight, and Chessmaster captures this way. So he calculated that capturing with the b pawn is weaker. That's why he played this. Okay, now of course instead of this rook move he could capture this pawn, but it doesn't matter. He can now even first develop the rook. So now Chessmaster develops the bishop and prepares to castle, and only then Fritz wins the pawn back, and now material is equal. Okay, so then he opens the diagonal for the bishop, and both sides are developing for a few moves. Note that Chessmaster makes a lot of moves with this knight. Okay, so now Chessmaster decides that this knight here is dangerous, so he just throws a question to him. So he can go to f6 or to c5. So those two are good squares for the knight. Knight f6 is probably a little weaker. Okay, he goes here, and then we have another moves. This should be a developing move, but let's say it kind of a backward developing. Alright, I don't know how to explain this move. Purely computer thinking. Of course, here the same applies to black also. He just retreats to win, right? So it is maybe kind of thinking that make one step back to make 2 steps ahead. I don't know. Okay, so then developing the rook, and again bishop to this square. According to the computer, this increases center control somehow. Okay, nevertheless, we have done this move. Okay, and beautifully white retreats. And now black makes some attack threats. This pawn is hanging. If black would like to capture this, then queen here, then queen here, and then this queen wins this knight here. So black loses the exchange knight for pawn. So that's why he plays queen defending this knight. So now white attacks this queen, but note that this queen is no longer attacking this knight. So this queen can practically go where he wants to go, right? So this guy goes here, and now we have this move. Okay, so still he goes here, and Chessmaster just exchange queens. Okay, so we have queens exchange, and interestingly black takes with the pawn. Now this pawn is hanging, and white can also win this pawn with his bishop, but capturing here isn't recommended, so rather than that white moves the pawn, the attacked pawn. It's now defended. He brings the rook to the semi-open file, and now white kicks this knight, and white can take this knight here, but rather than that he wants to improve this bishop, because here was cramped and here has a view on this diagonal, also eyeing the rook. So now black defends the rook, so white can win this knight now, but he doesn't want to. He just goes with his rook here, but Fritz forces the exchange, so they exchange knights. Of course, white is better, white has some advantage position, but will Chessmaster be able to keep his advantage? That is the question. Okay, so now the rook attacks the bishop, so it could go here, or it can be defended with the king like this. So what should white do now? There are no immediate threats. c3 followed by b5, and then c takes b. Another possibility is after c3 that rook a to c8 like this, and then white played bishop to d3, giving still advantage for white. And other moves are like a3 or bishop to f2 and a few other moves. So the best move seems to be like this. And now rook to this square is played, and bishop to d3, followed by b5. Okay, so now black has this pawn hanging, bishop can take it, and if bishop takes it, then bishop also is able to capture this pawn. And at this moment this pawn is hanging, the knight can take it here. But if he goes here, then of course capturing here is impossible because rook defense. Okay, so here we have this exchange of pawns. Note that most of white's pieces are hanging. This bishop, this pawn, both rooks, right? And what to do now? Let's take a look at the candidate moves for white. f5 is one of them, which is followed by knight to b6, and then bishop to g6 check. Another possibility is bishop to g3. So another candidate move is bishop g3 followed by rook to e8, and then rook takes. A few other variations are possible, but computer chooses, in his opinion, the strongest, which is like this. Okay, so next black plays like this, and here again quite a few good moves. One of them is bishop to g6 check, with the idea that if king goes here to this square, then the rook goes to the 7th. So this is what happens. And why to g8 instead of f8? Actually, it isn't much difference, but for some reasons computer favors this square. Okay, so just as expected, rook to the 7th. Now this rook defends this pawn, and here the only good move is bishop to g3. Now knight to d5 is played, and here white starts to struggle for his position. Now it's no longer advantage for white, now it's equal. What should here white play? White has two moves. One of them is rook e6, and the other is rook e1. So he chooses rook e6. So now black can win this pawn because it's hanging, and white can also win this pawn because it's protected by the rook, so the rook will not capture back. So we have this exchange, and now the only move for black is this one. So now this pawn is attacked with 3 pieces and defended only once. So this pawn will fall soon. So now what should white do here? The strongest move is rook to e7 followed by b6, and then h3. It is also possible to play a3 followed by rook takes a3, and then rook to a7, e7, and other moves are much weaker. So here he decides to to play like this. White can play, for example, king to f2, followed by bishop takes at a2, or he can play h3, followed by c5, or he can play bishop to h5, which would be followed by knight takes at a2. So we have this move, and here bishop takes the pawn, and again white has some choices. He can play rook to d4, followed by bishop to d5, like this, or he can play h3, followed by c5, or there are also other possibilities, but we will not look at them because they are weaker, so he goes for rook d4. Now black has a few choices. One of them is to play bishop to b3, like this, and after that move we have h3. Another possibility is to play bishop to c4, then we have h3. Black chooses to play like this. Okay, what should white do now? The only move that allows white to stay in the game is bishop to c7, followed by rook a1 check. So playing like bishop to g3 instead, or bishop to f4, or rook to e3, all those moves are very bad. The only move is this. So now we have check. Obviously white cannot defend the check with those pieces, so he has to go like this only. And now doubling the rooks, and this rook was attacked, by the way. Some attempt to attack this knight, but it's not a problem for black, because it goes here, moves it to safety and checks white's king. So here white has only two choices, king f3 or king e3. Check, moving out of harm's way. So here black has only two moves. One of them is knight to c5, then pawn takes c5, then rook takes at e7, like this, then pawn c takes b6. So better than this is to play knight f2, and this leads to rook d to e3, then knight d3 check to the square, king goes to g3, and then rook takes e3 with check, and then white rook takes at e3, then knight takes b4, and so on and so on, a few exchanges going on. And this move was played in the game. And now we have rooks exchange, and black is much better. After this pawns exchange, black's advantage is visible. Black is 1 pawn ahead. Okay, so now it is obvious that black will win this game, so now we will not analyze the moves, let's just watch the technique of Fritz. So he just goes here, he makes way for those passed pawns to promote. White tries to bring his pieces to stop those advanced pawns, but black just brings his forces to attack white's pieces. And now white prepares to win this pawn here, because taking like this is impossible because of the pin here. Black ignores this, and black attacks this bishop with the rook. And he brings another piece to attack this bishop, so it's pinned, it cannot take here, and it means that this bishop will fall very soon. But now Chessmaster just grabs the pawns with check, and now Fritz wins the bishop. Black defends this knight, and white attacks the pawn that defends this knight. Pawn takes bishop, rook takes knight. So now those two pawns are unstoppable, and it's obvious that black wins this position no matter what his opponent is. Fritz with black pieces, he will just win in several moves. Okay, so this is what happens in the game. We have check and a series of desperate checks from Chessmaster, and the checks are over, and the last check moving to safety, and now one of those pawns will promote. So Chessmaster exchanges rooks, and now it's mating combination. And checkmate. Okay, so let's go back to move 31. It's an interesting position here. Okay, and in this position it is white who has the advantage. For example, bishop to g6 check. When this position is played by Fritz versus Fritz, then white just wins, and Chessmaster actually wasn't able to hold his advantage. So Robolito gives another possibility and suggests that rook to e1 is even stronger than this bishop here, but still, if rook to e1 and Chessmaster plays with this position against Fritz, then again Fritz wins, because slowly Fritz gets advantage because of his superior positional play. Okay, and this video shows that Fritz has better positional play, even though the levels of the play are the same, and also Fritz makes moves much faster, I mean 5 times faster or even more depending on the position. So Chessmaster was able to get a very good defense. He he fought quite bravely here, but Chessmaster, but Fritz's positional play is better. So with slowly improvements of position, blacks just made such positions where white couldn't do anything and was just crushed.